This program was made possible in part by a grant from Florida Public Broadcasting Service, Incorporated.
I like to say something that I think is funny, and when everybody else thinks it's funny, it's like a sigh of relief, and it's something, you know, it really makes you feel good.
Welcome to Showtime Search for the Funniest Person in America, a search that will take our video van across 10,000 miles from the big cities to the back roads.
After an exhaustive coast-to-coast talent search, Showtime, the national pay television service, named Daytona Beach's Bill Luby one of the 5 funniest people in America and the funniest person in Florida.
Good evening, everyone. Cocktails will be served in a moment, but first, I've got a little surprise for you. Let me fire it up.
The 30-year-old voice of 1,000 faces is hard at work, building his career on his God-given abilities to mimic.
Ooh, what a rush. Peter Lorre, why don't you try some of this for me? The whole room is spinning around.
My act is mostly impressions. That's my forte. I do them because I've never really thought of myself as being cleverly funny, you know, yuck, yuck, yuck kind of person, not a Robin Williams type. But I've relied on the impressions. Most people get a kick out of them. I try and put them into a situation that you don't normally see them in. For example, having Jimmy Stewart getting high.
Jay, you know, that's pretty good. You know, I can't tell if it's red mud or sense or what. Let me get an expert on it. Henry Fonda, come here and try this.
I can hear it. I can hear a voice. I can know in 1 minute if I can do it or not. I usually try them out on myself driving in the car. You know, I'll experiment. I'll try someone to do someone.
I can remember that.
It's something I know right away if I can do it or I can't.
Oh boy, it was very tough. My father never liked me either. One time for Christmas, he got me a bat. I played with it twice. He flew away. Very tough life. Well, I grew up, things didn't get any easier. You know, when I was a kid, things were tough, but when I grew up, it was even tougher. I got married. I looked at my wife on our honeymoon. I said, "Hey, honey, have you ever done this before?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "How many times?" She said, "Not enough to make up for this." Oh, boy.
Now, let me ask you something, lady. Are those sneakers? I got a pair of sneakers the other day.
I was a theater major in college, and I had decided that really wasn't for me, but I was still doing a play. This was up in Pennsylvania, and one of the members of the cast backstage while we were rehearsing, I was clowning around and doing some impressions that I can do. And he said, "Boy, that's great. I can get you a job doing that." I said, "Sure, sport, go ahead, do it." And he came back the next day and he had me a job. He booked me into this nightclub. And then I had to do something. So I started there, and I've been doing it off and on, here and there, at different intervals ever since. It's kind of a semi-quasi-hobby career for me right now, depending upon how the wind blows.
Oh, look. Here comes little Edith and Archie Bunker. Now, folks, come on. I want y'all to try some of this. Oh, jeez. Would you look at this here, huh?
I have performed in the Poconos, some of the bigger resorts there, Mount Airy Lodge, in Las Vegas at the Sahara, the Maxim, in Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, St. Pete, various places throughout the Southeast.
Hey, there's so many people there, you know. Hey, look at this, Jack Nicholson. Hey, why don't you try some, Jack?
Sly, you call this reefer?
I almost feel guilty doing it, taking the money, because it's not really work at all. It's something I enjoy doing. I like it. It's fun. Keeps me off the streets at night.
Hot damn boys and girls. It's medication time.
Making it as a comic can be hard. If you put your time in, if you work on it, if you really want it badly enough, you can do it. The problem is that along the way, things are not always going to be pleasant. You're going to have to work with some people that you would rather not work with. There are a lot of egos involved. You just have to kind of have a tough skin to pursue it and to continue with it. You never know.
This is Andy Rooney. Good night.
I went back to college and got my degree at 45, and I became a newspaper reporter. And then after years as a newspaper reporter, I changed careers at 56 and became a private eye, and now I'm 63.
Virginia Snyder is the feisty matriarch of a small family business in South Florida's Delray Beach. Her latest career is by no means a typical family business, for along with her husband, a nephew, and 2 others, she runs one of the most renowned and effective private investigative agencies in the state.
Is this that new murder case, Wayne?
Yeah.
When I was a newspaper reporter, I liked investigative reporting better than the general assignments covering city commissions, things like that. And at the sort of midpoint in my life, or maybe past midpoint, when I was in my 50s, I started thinking about what I would do down the road, not planning to retire, so what could I do as long as I was physically and mentally able to function? And the investigative part was the thing I liked. So I looked around for ways to use my investigative skills, experience, and interests, and my husband suggested get a license as a private eye. So I looked into that, and that's what I did. Okay. All right, call in as soon as you get there. I will. Okay. Gotta watch your purse. I mean, they grab it, man, mug you. I started the first 3 years by myself and then incorporated, and my husband went to work as an intern and served 2 years as an intern, and then he got his license. My nephew went to work as an intern 4 years ago, got his license, and Diane is now interning, and our newest staff person is Lenore Baldwin, who just joined us a month or 2 ago. We do primarily pure investigative work. And about 3/4 of our cases, I would say, are criminal defense cases. And that is where we're hired by an attorney representing a defendant in some crime, or we're court appointed, either federal or state court, if the client is indigent. And then the other 1/3 or 1/4 of our work is civil, and it ranges from missing children to estates to wrongful death to workman's compensation, accidents, whatever that would fall under civil.
Every day is a different day. I come over to work, I don't know who I'm going to be or what I'm going to be. You know, I may come over to work dressed up, and I may have to run back over in a half hour to change into grubby jeans, you know, go out and work on a case. And then again, when you help somebody, that's also a good feeling you get in this type of work. So I find it very rewarding. I like it.
Oh, I love working with Virginia Snyder. Apart from being a wonderful investigator and a mentor, she's a humanitarian. She takes cases that nobody else will touch, and I never met anybody that was such an investigator with a heart.
She's like a great professor, somebody you'll always remember as being a good teacher. You know, she's just not an investigator, she's also a very good teacher.
They kid me about being the toughest boss they ever had and things like this. Maybe I demand more because they're family. But on the other hand, because you love each other and there's the family tie there, there's not the resentment on either side. You know, you can speak your piece, you can argue with each other and shout and yell that you wouldn't do otherwise. That doesn't happen too often. But we work well together because all of us love the work. And this is something you really have to love. If you don't, forget it.
How dangerous is this line of work?
It's not particularly dangerous for us because we don't put ourselves in situations that would be dangerous.
You use common sense when you go out on a case. It might be risky, but you use common sense when you do it. And the thrill makes it worth it.
Well, I think Virginia is very careful what she does, and most of my concerns have to do with just the safety around here, and I don't want anyone to get in trouble, so I think about it probably more than they do, and warn them about places they shouldn't go and things they shouldn't do.
Actually, I feel in more danger from certain police officers who get upset when I upset a case that they have cleared or solved. Because remember, we work with a defense team. And since we have an adversary system of justice in this country, the prosecution and the police are on one side, and the defense attorney and his or her team is on the other side. Theoretically, both trying to get to the bottom of what actually happened. And when the state attorney doesn't like me, or the police don't like me, that means I'm being effective. If I were innocuous little lady running around not doing anything to shake up anybody, they would not be even bother with me. And in fact, they bother with me so much that 4 times last year, and four different murder cases last year in Palm Beach County alone, the state attorney's office attempted to intimidate defense attorneys by telling them, if you call Virginia Snyder as a witness, we're prepared to destroy her credibility. To me, it's a good barometer when their cases are weak, you know. But it is very sad because it subverts the criminal justice system.